Welcome to the Meet the Candidates Forum. All the candidates on the ballot were invited, and unfortunately one candidate was unexpectedly unable to attend due to illness. But we have 3 candidates here tonight for the South Glens Falls School District School Board elections. This event was organized by the South Glens Falls School District and is moderated by the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County. It will be recorded and posted on the school district website. League rules require that if a Meet the Candidates event is recorded, it must be broadcast or rebroadcast in its entirety. With that in mind, the audience is reminded to refrain from filming any portion of tonight's event, and if we see any videotaping, we must stop the event until the videotape equipment is put away. My name is Anne Marie Pendergast. I live in the town of Greenfield. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, volunteer political organization dedicated to the informed and responsible participation of citizens in government. The League never supports or opposes any candidate or party. This has been League policy since 1920. Membership is open to anyone who is eligible to register and vote, so please consider joining the League. I would like to thank the South Glens Falls School District for arranging this event and you in the audience for attending and watching. I know some of you may have really strong opinions about some of the things we talk about tonight, but I'm going to ask that you refrain from cheering, applauding, making comments, or otherwise interrupting. We want to give the candidates a chance to answer as many questions as we can. With this in mind, I also ask that you hold all applause until all the candidates are finished speaking. We have received questions from the public in your school district in advance. These were reviewed by League members, and questions were selected to be representative and avoid redundancy. Questions of a personal nature are never included. Candidates, this is your opportunity to let voters know your stance on these topics and how you will address the issues facing this community and the school district. Please do not waste valuable time tearing down your opponent. Deal with the facts. And in your closing, do not put your opponents on the spot with no chance for reply. We have 2 timers here this evening who will hold up signs for the candidates to glance at. Green means there's 1 minute left, yellow means there's 30 seconds, and red means time is up. The names of the 4 candidates for the 3 school board seats in alphabetical order are Heidi Brennan, Amanda Cedrone, Dr. John Leary, and Brianna Lebrecht. Now it is time to hear their 2-minute opening statements. They've drawn lots to determine the order tonight. Oh, thank you. Kathy's reminding me that we have one thing to the timing that we need to add, and that is that the candidates get 2 red cards, which they can hold up to get an extra minute at some point during the evening, which they do have. I just forgot to mention. Thanks, Kathy. So the order tonight, the order is Amanda, and then Jack, and then Bree, and we'll rotate who begins with each question. But for the opening statements, we're going to start with Amanda.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Amanda Cedrone, and I consider myself to be a very passionate person, especially when it comes to what's important to me. And the most important thing to me is my 2 kids. I have 2 boys. They're 2 and 4. My oldest is currently attending Universal Pre-K over at Moreau Elementary. And I made the decision to run for school board because obviously they will be going through the district for the next several years, and it's going to shape who they become. I want to help make decisions regarding not only their experience, but the other children in our community as well. And I think it's really important for me to clarify that this would be a new experience for me. I've never been on a school board. I don't have any preconceived notions of what I think needs to be done. My approach would be to take my time and talk to all the parties involved in any issues that come up, including teachers, students, parents, staff, and administrators, and learn as much about the situation as possible in order to make an informed and fair decision.
Next we'll hear from Jack.
In times past, I was the school physician for Hudson Falls and South Glens Falls Central School System for a combined total of 13 years. I performed school physicals on kindergarten, first, third, 7th, and 10th grades. This meant that I met on an individual basis with every child in the school over a 3-year period. I also performed pre-employment physicals on teachers. I did school inspections, including cafeterias and boiler rooms. I was a member of a special education committee. I did all the sports physicals. I was responsible for the health and safety of all the students. In short, I had a pretty good grasp of what was going on throughout the school. Over 20 years, I was also president of the medical staff and member of the board of the Glens Falls Hospital. Based on my prior experiences, I believe that South Glens Falls is the gem of all the area school systems. I base this on the example of the Marathon Dance, which is unmatched product of 4 pillars: students, teachers, administration, and community. For this, we are admired and envied throughout the state. We have an administration which is efficient, proactive, and well-led by our superintendent, Christine Orr, who has great command over the entire system. Our several principals take great pride in their respective schools. Finance officer Kevin Petrell has guided us smoothly through the rocky years of the pandemic and the state budget delays. Our school board is blessed with years of experience, with one member being jointly on the BOCES board. It is under the leadership of Bill Elder, who runs the most efficient, well-run meetings in the region. In my experience, it takes a couple of years to become acquainted with all the requirements and subtleties of the board. I am personally running for a second term as board member and would appreciate your vote. Take the time. Okay.
Thank you, and last we'll hear from Bree.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Lebrecht, but my preferred name is Bree. I am your neighbor and a parent of 2 students who currently attend South High. I work as a legal assistant for a law office in Glens Falls. My husband and I are high school sweethearts who graduated from Schuylerville High School. And though we moved away for a bit with the Navy, this is where we've chosen to call home. I have a diverse background that I believe will make me an asset to the Board of Education. I am secretary for the Board of Directors for the Moreau Community Center and volunteer on Tuesday afternoons with your children at Bulldog Zone, which I take great joy in even on the more challenging days. I have also chosen to volunteer with other organizations, including Upper Hudson Queer Alliance, Tourette Syndrome Association of Greater New York, Upstate Autism Alliance, Lower Adirondack Pride, and I also founded and ran the Glens Falls chapter of Holistic Moms Network for a few years after co-leading the Saratoga chapter. I am a former foster parent, and I've gone through the training to become a trauma-informed person, so I especially appreciate that that's something that our school district is focusing on, putting our teachers through that training. I have experience with both IEPs and 504 plans, and I'm a fierce advocate for my children. I'm also a neurodivergent person myself, so I do understand some of the struggles that some of our students experience. I grew up a Navy brat and have attended public schools in 7 different states, including New York, so I have educational experience from every region of the country. I also took a child-led approach while homeschooling my children for the beginning of their elementary school careers. Additionally, I fought to complete my high school education in New York after my parents moved out of state, and I independently remained here for my junior and senior years. That experience reminds me that the education provided by our school district belongs to the students, and their voices are important to me. I participated in Mr. Bodie's SCAFA group in the 22-23 school year, the interview committee for high school assistant principal in 23, the interview committee for high school principal in 24, and the committee to redefine our district's mission and vision statements, which I fully support. I truly enjoy collaboration and look forward to working with the other board members should I be elected.
Thank you. The 4th candidate, Heidi Brennan, was able to send a statement over, so I'd like to read that now. I'd like to offer an apology for my absence tonight. I've come down with a nasty stomach bug so severe that my doctor would not let me drive home after an appointment today. I was looking forward to being here, meeting members of our community, and answering any questions that you may have had. My name is Heidi Brennan, and I am running for re-election to a 2nd term on the South Glens Falls Central School District Board of Education. I have lived in the South Glens Falls District for the past 31 years, and I'm a mother of 2 SGF graduates, both who spent their life, who both spent their entire school career in SGF. One graduating in 2019 and the other in 2024. Through all of those years, I have met and developed connections with a lot of the great teachers, staff, and administrators of the district. I am currently employed by the Saratoga Springs City School District as a keyboard specialist in the guidance department. I believe that this gives me a unique insight into the needs of students and parents, as well as staff and faculty within a school district. My first 3 years have been an incredible learning experience. Learning the ins and outs of the inner workings of the school district has been interesting and informative. While I believe our school district is well prepared going into the future, I think that there is still opportunity to improve, especially in the areas of communication and transparency. During my tenure so far, I have made myself available to listen to the issues and concerns of parents and community members alike, and have always brought those concerns to the board for consideration and tried to ensure that people get answers to their questions. I feel that I have been an advocate for all students, parents, and community members, and I pledge to continue to do so in the future if reelected. Okay, now it's time for questions. Candidates will have up to 1.5 minutes to respond to a question. You are not required to respond. You may pass if you wish. Each candidate will be afforded 2 opportunities to request an additional minute during the question and answer session for a rebuttal or to expand an answer using the red cards. This may be only done during the question and answer session. It may not be used for your closing statement. Questions will be directed to candidates in rotation, so everyone gets a chance to answer first. The first question will go to Amanda again to begin. The first question is, what do you believe are the greatest challenges currently facing this school district? What do you see as the board's role in addressing those challenges?
Like I stated before, I'm not coming in with any preconceived notions of things that need to be changed or addressed necessarily, but I do think that we're living in very uncertain times. As an example, there are a lot of changes with the federal Department of Education happening right now, and it's unclear how or if that may affect local schools in the future. And it would seem to me that the members of the Board of Education would be involved in what those changes may look like. For example, if there are budget cuts or changes to policy regarding what can be done in schools.
Thank you. Jack?
I think one of the things that's happened is we're in the process of recovering from COVID. You know, there's been 2 years where the kids were, really at a disadvantage, with masks and social distancing and what have you, and structured learning. I mean, all of a sudden, there's been all sorts of experiments, with home learning and what have you, and it's a challenge to try and take advantage of what we've learned. That's one of the major problems. The second thing is that a lot of times it's very unpredictable because the state itself is the one that, just like the school or the budget for the education, we're have to adjust to the whims of the education department. So that's it.
Thank you. Jeff, you might want to pull your microphone a little closer for next time.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks. Bree?
So I primarily have experience right now with high schoolers and middle schoolers. So I think one of the biggest challenges that facing some of those students right now is the impact of social media and cell phones. How we connect with people in general, especially post-COVID, as many of our children who were younger at that time missed out on valuable social skills on how to connect with people in person. I think as far as the board's role in addressing that, I believe that we need to find a proactive approach to teach responsible internet use as well as cell phone use, social media use, and
Thank you. The next question will go first to Jack. The question is, what measures will you implement to reduce bias and discrimination in school policies and practices?
Well, I think it's when you're talking about policies, really it's not an individual effort, it's a joint effort. And it requires dialogue. A lot of the policies are determined by the state. Some are mandated by the state, so it's very difficult to maybe even have effect on some of that. But I think the thing that I'm really interested in is the dialogue within the board. Also, we've enjoyed a very good relationship with the administration, and they're very proactive. So that's my answer.
Thank you. We'll also hear from Bree.
So to echo what John Mary was saying, that is something that I know that a lot of our policies and mandates, regulations in the state do come down from the state, and our job as a school board is to come up with policies that support what the state has passed down to us. I know that it's a continuous conversation in our schools right now in dealing with bias, discrimination, that sort of thing, and making sure that all of our students feel welcome in our school, as well as faculty and staff. And I think we should continue doing it.
Thank you. I think it's still a little hard to hear, so all of you just pull them a little bit closer. Also for the recording, so that's good. Thank you. Amanda, do you need to repeat the question?
Could you please?
Sure. What measures will you implement to reduce bias and discrimination in school policies and practices?
So, as both of them have said before me, I know that some of this is going to be based on what we're able to do and support based on state mandates. I think that social emotional health in kids is so important, and teaching them that from a young age. And again, having a son in UBK right now, I think that the attributes of a bulldog are so wonderful, because when he comes home, I'll talk to him, and there was one day when I said, like, oh, who are your friends at school, bud? And he told me, Mrs. Carpenter says we're all friends. And he truly loves all of his friends. And even if he tells me a story where maybe somebody made a bad decision or did something they shouldn't do, he treats them, in speaking at least to me, with such kindness. So I do think that some of what is already being done is so wonderful. So just continuing, I guess, to bolster that.
Thank you. The next question is going to go first to Bree. Are the policies for parental involvement in various situations sufficient, or do they need review? For example, student name changes, permission to take students off school property, or parental consent for specialized counseling.
So I think my stance on this sort of thing is a little bit different. It's shaped by my experience, and as I stated, I did complete high school without my parents being responsible for me. So if we're talking about parents, their involvement, I do believe that parents have a role in schools. I do think that as our children are continuing to learn about themselves in their environment, that we should give them the grace to know who they are as a person. But I do think that we should continue to take safety seriously as far as our children being able to leave school property, that sort of thing. And I think a lot of it just comes down to common sense.
Thank you. Amanda is next.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Are the policies for parental involvement in various situations sufficient, or do they need review? For example, student name changes, permission to take students off school property, or parental consent for specialized counseling.
Again, there's a lot I don't know about how all of this works currently in the district. So clearly I would need to brush up on that should I be elected. But I do think parental involvement is important. I mean, I think that parents should be aware of what is happening. But I would say it's also going to be dependent on what case we're talking about. Whether it's name changes, that may be treated differently, for me at least, than students being allowed to leave the property by themselves without parents knowing.
Thank you. Jack? You have to turn your mic on, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. I'm a very strong believer in parental involvement in school in general. I think that's that bond is really important. So I go out of my way to protect that. I think the topics that you mentioned are currently in a state of flux, and so I think they need to be dealt with on an individual basis. You can't make a blanket statement with any of those issues. It's a general, and so you need to, like I say, deal with those on an individual basis. So that's my, and that's to a large extent that happens, sort of at a level below the board. This is dealing with administration, with the teachers, and what have you, and the students. That's my.
Thank you. Did you want to Bree, can we have 1 more minute for Bree?
Well, now I forgot what I was going to say, so.
You can come back.
When talking about parental rights especially, I think it's important to remember that some of the policies that we have they're almost like a catch-all, because not all parents are as involved as some of them should be with regard to our children. So I know that what I've observed is a lot of parents who question certain things. They're already the involved parents, but a lot of those policies are meant to catch the families that don't fall into those categories.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Amanda. Are programs such as the banana splits at the middle school being handled properly? Note, banana splits programs are for children whose parents are divorced or separated.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the Banana Splits program, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. I'll just say that again, I'm new to this, and I fully acknowledge that, and I believe in researching all of it. So if I'm elected, that'll be my first step, but for now I'm gonna pass.
Thank you. Jack?
And I'm, Amanda, I don't know, this is the first time I've heard banana splits in that context. I don't know if it's just because I haven't done my homework, but usually I'm fairly up to date on these things. But so I also don't have a particular opinion on something I don't know anything about.
Okay, thanks. Bree?
Despite having middle schoolers having gone through that, I also don't know what banana splits is. But I will say that my parents did divorce while I was in school, so if it's what I think it is, then I think it makes sense to have a program like that. But also this kind of falls into the area that I work in, and I know there's a lot of contention when it comes to divorce and custody, all of that stuff. So I think that the more support there is, the better. But again, I also really don't know what the banana splits were. I was hoping it was an ice cream party.
The questions come from the public, so I can't answer. Okay, we'll move right on to question 5. This will first go to Jack. Will you stand with the Saratoga Springs City School District, and do you promise to follow the laws and Constitution of New York State to ensure every student is protected and included, including transgender and immigrant students?
Well, I don't have any allegiance to the Saratoga school system. I don't know anything about it, so And with regards to my background, is again, I said I was a school physician for 13 years. I also was there during the initiation of Title IX, which was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I can say with some authority that having, boys or whatever, trans, playing in contact sports and girls is not safe. It adds to the, and this has only gone into effect since August. So, there's no long-term data. A lot of it's just anecdotal, but I know from personal experience that it's a real issue of safety versus ideology. And a lot of people go along with ideology at the expense of safety of the students. And I'm for the safety of the students. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Bree?
I absolutely stand with the Saratoga Springs School District. I support all of our students, all of our families, and I understand that there are very different circumstances for everybody who is involved. I know that from what I am seeing, the Saratoga Springs School District is acting in compliance with state laws, some of which, for example, the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, which has been around since 2019 and has recently been codified in the New York State Constitution. I believe it's important to follow that. As a follow-up, to bring numbers into this when we are talking about trans students, which I also support. Going back off of the school district report card for our school district here back in 22-23, which was, to my knowledge, the most recent one, we had 5 students in our school district of 2,807 students who were labeled as non-binary, something other than male or female. That is 0.002% of our student population. So I think it is a weird approach to put so much focus on an issue that impacts so few students, especially because not all of those students are interested in athletics, not all of those students are interested in playing on a girls' sports team. So I really think that there are other things that we need to be focusing on instead.
Thank you. Amanda?
The short answer is yes, I definitely stand with the Saratoga School District. I'm a firm believer in inclusivity, whether that's trans students, immigrants, other minorities, especially when it's a part of the state law. And to Bree's point, I believe that there are a lot larger issues currently facing schools than the 5 non-binary students out there.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Bree. Do you foresee extraordinary changes to the funding stream for public education? What initiatives or budget cuts would you consider if funding is reduced?
I think that being that we are in the state of New York, our risk of losing some of the funding that's being talked about right now is less than it is in some of the other states that I've lived, for example, Alabama. So what was the other part of the question? What would we cut?
What initiatives or budget cuts would you consider?
I think that's a hard thing to answer as far as what I would cut. I know what I would prioritize, and that is some of our social emotional learning, the access to music programs, that sort of thing. So I don't have an exact answer on what specifically I would cut working towards that. I just know what I would prioritize as important to me as a parent and as a community member.
Thank you. Amanda?
Agreed. Given that we're in New York State, I don't foresee the risk of budget cut as high as other places. And I would hope that if there was, it would be something that could be dealt with fairly seamlessly. I would have to, again, have conversations with people who know more than me before I made any decisions. So I'm not sure exactly what I would look at cutting if needed right now.
Thank you. Jack?
And that's a general question. how much and what are we talking about? And obviously, you cut the things that need to be cut first. Obviously, and we just listened to the budget, so it's a good format for looking at all those items. And there are certain things on the budget that are a little bit exorbitant. I think one of the things that's being considered by there's a consortium that is a lobbying group for the hospital, for the school boards, for the budget. And one of the issues that they have brought up is the use of electric buses. In other words, they're now $500,000 a bus. There's 50,000 buses in the state of New York. That's what, $20 billion. I'm sorry. So that's a big price tag. So I think you have to reconsider things like that, or at least. So that's one answer.
Thank you. Our next question will go first to Amanda. I'll just remind all candidates to try to speak into the mic. If they're a little bit of distance makes a big difference for the audience. The question is, are the district's special education programs adequately funded and staffed?
On this, I can speak a little bit from my experience. So my son, he has some speech impediments that we are currently working through. And again, I can only speak to my experience and the people that I've spoken with, but I felt very heard, and like my son was very much getting the attention that he needed, and that not only that, but that it was a priority to his teacher, to the people he was working with around his speech. And it seems like from the few others that I've spoken with as well, they've felt the same. So at this point, I feel very good about it. If there could be improvements made, perhaps, but I don't think it's lacking at this point, to my knowledge.
Thank you. Jack?
Right now, I think, like I said, I've been involved. I used to sit on the special ed committee a long time ago, and I also used to work at Little Developmental Center, so I had some direct involvement. I think right now the special ed is being adequately financed, and so I think it's very appropriate. That there's, I think the statistics takes 25% of the school budget is dedicated to special education. So I think it's all things considered, without getting down into some details, which I could go to. I think it's adequate.
Thank you. And Bree?
So I think that the district has made a lot of improvements in this area, specifically in the almost 7 years that we've been part of the school district. When we first moved to this district, they did not have some of the special education ratio of classrooms at all the school buildings. So I know we were looking at separating out one of our foster children to go to a separate school while the other children went to one, which was kind of an awkward thing to try to explain. But at this point, I know over the last several years, there have been improvements made, and they have classrooms at all the school buildings now. And I personally think that we could always use more funding in this area. I also know that there are several things that are outside of our control, like the need for more teachers' aides. But again, that I think comes along with hourly pay, and that's outside the school district's control. But I have seen a lot of growth in this specific area in the time that we have been part of the school district, and I'd like to see that continue to move forward.
Thank you. Amanda, do you want to get your card?
I just wanted to add, I didn't want to make it sound like my own personal experience is the same experience that everyone else has had. I also understand that there may be parents out there whose students have much more severe special needs than my own, and that their experience may be very different than mine. So I just want to be very clear that that is something that I'm very open to learning more about, and agree that there could definitely always be funding for that sort of thing, because again, I believe in a lot of inclusivity, including special needs students.
Okay, thank you. The next question will go first to Jack. How can you work to improve communication between the board and the public, both ways? For example, will you publish an email address? Would you support open forums for public discussions such as town halls?
I don't have any problem with pushing my email address, and I don't have any problem with open forums. I think they're both great ideas, so I'll settle with those. I don't have any other ideas.
Thank you. Bree, you're next.
So I have actually communicated with the Board of Education previously. I know that there is a way that you can email the Board of Education and it gets sent out to all of the members. I think that's a very simple way of doing that rather than knowing who's on the board. That said, I'm not opposed to my email address being published for communication purposes. I am a big fan of having real life conversations, especially in open forums, so I would not be opposed to that at all.
Thanks. Amanda?
I am also open and encouraging of both of those options.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Bree. How would you handle a board policy that you personally disagree with? And how would you handle a difference of opinion with another board member?
As I stated in my opening statement, I am all for collaboration. I recognize that we all have various opinions. I know I can be very vocal about mine specifically. I feel that as long as I was able to be heard as to what my concerns were, and those were able to be talked out, if the majority of the board did agree with supporting a certain policy, then I would have to support the board moving forward with that. Having a difference of opinion does not scare me, and I believe that oftentimes having that open, or that difference of opinion opens for conversations and an opportunity to learn from each other. So I'm actually looking forward to having some opportunities to learn from other people on the board as well.
Thanks. Amanda?
I think a lot of us deal with this every day. So I didn't mention this, but my job is that I'm a financial advisor. So I meet with clients every day, and I've got probably over 350 clients that I meet with on a regular basis, and they all have different opinions. For me, it is not a matter of necessarily being right or wrong. I'm okay with disagreeing with somebody. For me, it's about the communication and respect. I believe that we need to give each other space to talk about what we think, why we think it, and that allows us to explore and challenge our own beliefs, or each other's beliefs, I should say, when you give somebody else that same respect. So again, as long as I am also being treated with respect, and I feel like I am being heard, I'm completely fine with having differing opinions, especially if I am outvoted on something.
Thank you. Jack?
Again, I think one of the things that South Glens Falls has is experience on the board. You know, people who've been there, they bring a lot of history in what has happened over the years, and so that makes a big difference when you have a sophisticated board members, which that's been my impression so far. Also, a lot of times there's a formal mechanism in which you go through the president of the board if you have a problem. In other words, it's not just an informal thing, but formally you can go through the board. And I have utmost respect for Mr. Elder, who's done a wonderful job. So on the real world, that's how it works. That's how I've tried to do things.
Thank you. Next question will go first to Amanda. What do you plan to bring to the table in creating a positive school environment for all students?
That's a tough one. So I think in general, I'm a very positive person. I've had a lot of different experiences in my life. So again, I didn't really go into this, but I graduated locally from Queensbury High School, and then I spent probably about 12 years collectively away. I went to college in Boston. I got my master's in New York City. In between there, I spent semesters abroad in various places. So I've met a lot of different types of people. I've lived a lot of different places. I've talked to a lot of different people who have different opinions than my own. So I would like to think that I bring that that perspective of we are all very different. We all come from different places, and we all have reasons for why we believe the things that we believe. So I think that that has a place in making decisions at the school, where again we all have very different backgrounds and values and family traditions, and I hope that that could be helpful in establishing policies in the future.
Thank you. Jack?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. What do you plan to bring to the table in creating a positive school environment for all students?
Well, like I say,
Oh, sorry, can you turn your microphone on, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. In times past, when I was a school physician, it was very easy because I was directly involved. Right now, I have much less contact with the students. I try to go to the games, which and then they put on a couple of wonderful plays, but it's sort of a so basically, I think the school system itself has done a wonderful job cultivating a lot of these things. And I don't have any specific issues, so I don't need any more time.
Thank you. Bree?
Smiling. So again, I do work with a lot of the kids at Bulldog Zone, and some of the things that I've learned from them is that they all have an opinion about what they're dealing with at school. They all have various experiences, and I think it's very important to listen to them and to have those conversations where they feel open and safe at school, acknowledging their concerns, encouraging diversity, and I really think connection is the quickest way to positivity.
Thank you. This will be our last question before closing statements, and it will be first to Jack. Name one reason you are proud of this school district.
Having been involved in times past and what have you, one of the spectacular things, this is an easy question, is the marathon dance. Anybody that's attended that, it's just something magical. And I take great pleasure when I go to these conferences, the state convention for school boards. They have, you meet different people, and I have a great time, bragging about the marathon dance and seeing if they, guess how much the marathon dance game, made, and they say a couple thousand, 5,000 maybe. Then you tell them how much the school really made, and of course, first reaction, they don't even believe you. But that's my output there.
Thank you. Bree?
I think the number one thing that makes me proud of our school district is just the community that we've developed around the school district in general. A lot of it does center around the South High Marathon Dance, and I know that being at those dances, there is just this energy in the air that just brings everyone together. And I think that's very important. I'm very proud to be part of that community, especially because I didn't have that when I was growing up. And I'm very glad to see that at least my children do.
Thank you. Amanda?
So again, this is our first year as parents in a public school district, and admittedly, I was extremely nervous the first day that we dropped my son off. He's also one of the youngest in the class because he has an October birthday, so it was very hard. But at this point in the school year, I am just so proud and amazed at the progress he's made. He's learned so much. He's become so much more independent. He comes home and he has this whole life outside of us that he talks to us about. And I am just beyond thrilled at this point with our short but sweet experience thus far. So I'm very happy at this point to be part of the Bulldog District.
Thank you. It's now time for closing statements. Candidates, you have no more than 1 minute each. The first to speak will be Bree.
Again, my name is Brianna Lebrecht. I do go by Bree, but for the sake of legalities on the ballot, I am Brianna Lebrecht. I had the good fortune of drawing last position on the ballot, so just make sure you work through all the names on the ballot. Start at the bottom, work your way up, or even just acknowledge that they put the best last. Yes, I am excited to be part of the school district. I am very glad that my husband and I chose to raise our children in the school district, and I look forward to continuing to contribute to our school district in whatever way I can be involved in.
Thank you. Amanda?
Yeah, so clear from tonight, I have a lot more to learn about the school district. I am not, one of my favorite activities is reading. Reading, writing, learning, communicating, those are all things that I do in every aspect of my life, so I'm not afraid of that hard work. So I ask that you don't judge me by maybe some of the areas that I need to learn more about. And I just want to say that with my own kids, the most important things to me are that they feel accepted, they feel loved, they feel cared for, and free to be who they are. And those are all things that I feel really strongly about all the kids at the district, hopefully being able to feel and achieve. So those are going to be my guiding principles if I'm elected to the school board.
Thank you. And Jack?
It's tough to summarize in 1 minute, but I would say that I'm really proud of the whole system. You know, there's 4 pillars involved. There's students, teachers, the administration, and the community itself. And I would say that everything is really a symbiotic interaction. I think that I've been in different places, in different boards, in different schools, and I think that everything, all things considered, is going very well here. So I don't have any specific issues at this point in time, and I just want to communicate to the people here, what have you, just how good the school system and the board and the administration and the students have been. So that's my closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to remind the audience there is a 4th candidate who was unexpectedly unable to be here tonight due to illness, Heidi Brennan, who will also be on the ballot. Please vote on May 20th. Ballots will be cast between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. at Tanglewood Elementary Schools for residents of the Village of South Glens Falls and Town of Moreau, and Ballard Elementary for residents of the Town of Northumberland and Wilton. Applications for absentee ballots and/or early mail are available at the school district. The procedure for submission can be found on the school district website. Thank you for all the candidates for attending this event and helping to educate the voters in the South Glens Falls School District. I want to thank the public for submitting questions and the viewers who have taken the time to watch this event and learn about the candidates. And thank you, audience, for showing an interest in the community tonight. Have a good night.
thank you to the League of Women Voters who've been very fair and equitable and reasonable, and I don't think anybody's run out of time, so thank you.